So we're doing another video. Basically we did one a couple of months ago, which was just me having a massive rant against Burnley Council for this development that we're doing behind me. We were really struggling with the planning, so I just wanted to do a video and kind of slate Burnley Council to death. But we've had loads and loads of people come back with questions and comments about how we're dealing with it, what we're doing, and wanting to know more information and kind of advice how we're dealing with the situation. So I thought what we would do is put another video together, which is more or less of a rant of me slating Burnley Council, and a bit more information about how we are actually dealing with this and what we're putting in place to kind of work with Burnley Council if that's ever possible. But ultimately, you know, the team that we've got and how we're getting from the position we're in now to a position where we can actually start this development. So we've had this site since 2019 and we have had numerous applications in for it, but just a quick history on it. We managed to get planning permission for the barn conversions and an extension on the farmhouse back in 2020. So the site does have planning permission for works to begin and works to start. We've also done some road entrance alterations to comply with the highways, which we've done a couple of videos on, but basically we've altered the road entrance so that makes it a lot safer now. And during that time we've had the geoengineers in because it's a historic mining site. We've done some rotary drilling, ground investigation works, and basically we've found voids underneath the property that could cause potential subsidence. And what we wanted to do was to have longevity in this building, and with the structural issues that we're having with the building as well, we've got wall separation and cracking and settlements and really bad foundations on it. What we've decided is we had the application for the renovation, but it's going to be a lot better project if we can actually dismantle this building. We can do rotary drilling, which will go to 17 metres below ground, and all the holes will be filled up with a liquid cementitious grout, which will stabilise all the voids underneath the property, and then we can rebuild it. And we did this with an application, a new application, and we didn't want to change the historic character of the building, so what we did is we put an application in to rebuild it, but exactly the same as what we already had planning permission for, because we thought that would be an easy application to gain. Just knock it down, dismantle it, and then rebuild it exactly what we have planning permission for. So this one has now, the council have turned it down under effect of the landscape, basically, which is absolutely crazy because it's exactly the same as what they've already passed. So for more than 10 years, nothing, before we bought this, nothing had been going on this site. So basically everything had greened over, and you had a house which looked like it was in the middle of a field, because 10 years of growth, even the access track was overgrown. And what we did is we've done a massive clean-up operation, we've dug back and kind of got rid of all the waste materials, but what this has done is it's unearthed and kind of opened up a lot of the green area that was hard standing in yard area. And I think this is one of the things that the council have got a big issue with, is that, you know, it's changed the site quite a bit. But this is only just because, like I said, it's 10 years where, you know, nature's taken over. So what the council have done is issued an enforcement notice on us for engineering works and other things, which we'll go through and have a look in the video, and you can see if you're kind of on board with it or whether you side with us. And yeah, this enforcement notice was issued August 2022, and we received the enforcement notice. We looked at it. We got a planning barrister involved and a really good planning consultant, and we read through it and had a look at a couple of site visits, and decided that there was no illegal work that's been taking place. It was kind of all permissible under an agricultural development. So, and basically it is just a clean up and or, you know, part of the works that we've already got planning consent for. So we now appealed the enforcement notice. This was a costly process for us, and we had the Planning Inspectorate come round. We had the planning officers and some legal guru from Burnley Council come round while the Planning Inspectorate was here, and we had a look round all the issues that was raised in the enforcement notice, and he went round and took notes and went off. And anyway, he come back and said that the enforcement notice has been nullified because it hasn't been served under the proper terms. They had put a timescale of immediately to stop work, and the Planning Inspectorate decided that immediately is not a time frame. So he's basically nullified it and threw it out. So this enforcement notice, it's cost us a lot of money, but the infuriating thing is it's cost Burnley taxpayers, we estimating around about £15,000 to put this enforcement notice in against us. And we've been to Burnley Council and we've said to them, what is the cost that this is cost Burnley taxpayers? And as yet today we've had no answer from them. And we've also asked them about what has happened disciplinarily to the people that have put the enforcement notice together, because if this was private sector, if someone had cost a business plus £15,000 in our estimates, you know, there would be questions to be answered. Again though, it seems Burnley Council don't take taxpayers' money to the sum of £15,000 very importantly, and as of yet today we've had no information to say what's happened to this. So anyway, we around about the same time in August we put the application in to rebuild this farmhouse, and it ended in February this year of 2023 that we have we were probably running on nearly 30 weeks into a planning application that should have technically been decided in 8 weeks, but we hadn't been pressing the council too much for this. But when we did start pressing them, they asked for an extension of time on the application. We kind of denied that because we thought, well, you're up to nearly 30 weeks here, you know, you should have done everything that you needed to do within them 30 weeks. And then we had another 6 weeks where they were kind of giving us the impression that we were going to pass it. They was talking about conditions applying and things like that. So we're very hopeful that this was going to go through. And then after 6 weeks, we still didn't have an answer out from them. So we pressed them a little bit harder. And then all of a sudden, all communication stopped. And then we kind of give them a deadline and said, you know, we need it by Friday. And then that was it, you know, it got thrown out. And they said, no, you can't have your planning permission, you know, it's a serious effect on the landscape, blah, 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 blah. And it just reeks of vindictiveness because we're pressing them for a decision on this. And this was, you know, plus 30 weeks, where it should have, you know, the government's time frame is within 8 weeks for a minor application like ours. And yeah, but in the meantime, January this year, when the Planning Inspectorate threw out the enforcement notice, however, they did find time to then reissue with another enforcement notice. And this is what really kind of got my back up when we ended up, you know, being served another enforcement notice, but yet they couldn't kind of decide on the plan application. And, you know, this new plan application kind of mitigated some of the enforcement notice. So that was a real turning point in this. So what we'll do is we'll go and have a look round, and we'll have a laugh and see what's on this enforcement notice. Right, so this is the first bit that we've that was on the enforcement notice. Basically, we had this natural depression in this field. So what we've been doing, we've been tipping material in here. It's all inert, just basically what we've been digging off site, doing some drainage works and so some digging out, and we've been tipping it in this depression. And you'll see behind me there, what we've done is we've kind of filled it in, and we've started then resoiling and reseeding on that back bit. And we're just working his way forward with this. You know, there's a little bit more down in here that we can tip in, but this is again, it's totally permissible under agricultural development, that anything under half an acre you can strip and tip and then reseed again. So technically this is all permissible, so there's no issues with doing this in any development. You know, you can, you know, if you've got the land, strip an area of land and tip in it. And again, what we're going to do is, this is going to be farmland again, but it's going to be a lot easier to work with the machinery and everything. So another problem we've had with the council, when we first bought this site, none of the drainage was working properly, so we wanted to improve the surface water drainage around the site. And then we also put on that application that we wanted to kind of re-landscape this and you know, level the field off. And then also up there, on the maps, this is classed as an ancient woodland. And then also this behind me is also classed as an ancient woodland. It's called the Low Plantation. And we kind of own the land that separates these two ancient woodlands. So we thought, oh, brilliant, once we've you know, filled the deviations in, we can then tree plant. And I think there was about over half an acre of tree planting that we were going to do on this ground, to then join these two ancient woodlands with native trees. We talked with our ecologists, and they agreed, and they did us a scheme of what trees we needed, and they'd done some analysis on the soil types, and we were all for it. And then amazingly, the council turns it down, and again, the reason they turned it down was effect on the landscape. And I just couldn't believe it. I thought, well, if this is not improving the landscape, what is? So we've had to kind of, we've done away with the tree planting now. Hopefully at a later date we can revisit it and maybe do something with it. But again, like I was saying, you know, this area is being filled, and this, like under half an acre, is totally permissible, and you don't need planning application. You don't need planning consent for it. You can just do it if you've got the land available. So this was another item that they put on the enforcement notice. We have two containers on site, this yellow one and a grey one. And again, I don't know how we've got planning permission to do work on site. So you are allowed to put storage containers on site. And have a look, we'll see what's inside this one. So this is just a container that we use to store our cement in here. It's we get high strength cement, so we don't have concrete deliveries. We have a pan mixer that we use on the front of the teleporter that we mix all the concrete for. So yeah, so basically this is a dry store for all our cement products, and that's it. So yeah, we're not allowed to have one of these now. So this is another one that we've got on the enforcement notice. It's just a massive pile of crap basically. This is just all the waste materials that we've got from site. There's bits of curbs that we got from when we did the entranceway, and the lumps of stone. Basically, when we do any excavation works, we keep them, and rather than tip them on the tipping area that we mentioned earlier, we put them in a big pile, along with all bits of concrete and bricks from bits of demolition of little structures that we've took down on site. And we store it, and rather than pay then for road haulage to take all the waste material away, and then we have to buy in again more and more road haulage to buy stone in for making hard standing. So what we have is a crushing bucket for one of our excavators, and basically we use that crushing bucket it just munches all this material up into a kind of it's probably classed as a 6F2, but it's just a stone that then we can use in on surfaces to be compacted. So if we want to make hard standing or want to put it under a building or anything like that, we just basically recycle this, and it just saves on all the road haulage to take it all the way to wherever they're going to process it, to then bring crushed stone in, tens of miles that we have then used on site. So it's just kind of recycling on site, and it cuts down a lot on road haulage. So again, they've put this on the enforcement notice, and we don't know why, because like I was saying earlier, we've got planning permission and we have a right to start doing works, and it's classed as a farm anyway, so there's nothing stopping us having piles of material like this generally on a farm anyway. So this is the other cabin that we've got on site. Basically it's our welfare cabin. We've got a little site office in here, we've got a toilet in here, and to comply with CDM regs in construction, you have to have provisions for so lads can make a brew, warm the food up, and wash their hands and things. So this is what this cabin's for, and again, for some bizarre reason, they've listed this on the enforcement notice, which I don't know why. And this is why, we feel it's appropriate to put an appeal in against it. So this is my beautiful concrete road that we've put in. This is also on the enforcement notice. This is permissible under agricultural development. As far as we've managed to research, we don't actually need a planning consent to put this concrete road in. It's not a new track that we've put in. There was an existing hardcore track here that we had been using for a little while, but using the machinery up and down, it didn't last. So we decided early doors we would get this concrete track in. We've got a little plateau up there that we're looking to put an agricultural unit on. So we'll go up there and have a look. So this is the top plateau area. What we've done, again, this was always hard standing. When we bought, it was all overgrown and grassed over, but there was loads of rubbish here. There was an old Land Rover that was down in the corner there. There was so much plastic and pipe and tyres. I'll pop some photos on the video here of what was here originally. And yeah, so what we've done is we've kind of dug this area off and we've made it hard standing now. We've put some of the crushed stone that we were talking about earlier, put some of that down. We have got livestock on site at the minute, so we've been feeding them over the winter. This is where we're wanting the agricultural unit to go. So we've got the round bales, like I said, that we've been using, and we're just using it as a storage area really. And this is our humongous stone pile. So we've got here all the stone that we've collected from site. Anything that when we got this site, there was piles of stone and flags, and the guy was a bit of an order, but luckily for us there was loads of materials on site, so we've tipped them all here. And then any excavation work that we've done, we've stored the stone here that we can use for rebuilding work or any masonry work. It's all landed here. And so what we've done, this, by the way, which I'm calling my stone processing centre, what we've done is we built an enclosure from Lego blocks, and basically because when you look around here, we're in a fairly high altitude elevated position, and when the lads are working here, I wanted to it's a glorious day today, but normally it's wet and windy. So we wanted to kind of build a little enclosure to keep the rain off the guys. I did actually, the other Christmas, I built a roof for this, but since then we had the enforcement notice, and I thought, I better not put my roof on, or else that's really off. So basically we haven't put the roof on it yet, but all it is to keep the weather off the lads while they're working here. So we've got our sawn cropper down there that we use for backing all the stone off. We've got a bench there which we use for manually pitching all the stone up. And then once it comes out of here, whiz it in the tumbler, and then this tumbler basically, you'll see on the wildlife tower, all that stone's tumbled. It kind of just gives it a nice aged effect. on the masonry, and doesn't make it look really new, and it kind of brings it all into, because here we've got masonry that's second hand, that's already been used. We've got new stone that's absolutely brand new, that's never been pitched, and we've got all different types of coast and rubble. And what we want to try and do is make it all match, and so this stone tumbler basically just rolls it all around and makes it look all the the same. It just gives it an aged effect. And then, because I'm really ill about all this stuff, when we built this, I put a sump in it as well. So what we actually do is we pump water around, because the stone, what I wanted to do was wash the stone. So we built a little sump in there, and basically we pump water through it, so it washes the stone as well, because some of the dug stone that we've got has got clay and rubbish on it. So we wanted that as it's tumbling it to wash it all off. So we built this, and like I say, it's only a temporary structure while we do this, but we've got a fair lot of stone to get through on this project. And so yeah, this is on the enforcement notice. Again, it's all temporary, it's not a full structure, it's all Lego blocks. You'll soon dismantle it and pull it all apart. But again, it just shows that, even though we've got planning permission to do building works, we've got planning permission to start work, they then put this on the enforcement notice, which is really infuriating. So well, again, that's why we appealed it, and that's why we can't kind of see why Burnley Council are taking this stance that, they've put all these items on, which are quite acceptable to have on any construction site. On this site now, we've had a look around all the enforcement issues, with containers and bits and bats, which we think is all, it's not really anything. There's no meat on the bone for what the council is trying to do, and basically, the site, what we've done is we've set a limited company up now which is going to be, it is a farm, and all the land that we've got here, we've got other land a couple of miles away. It's all registered with DEFRA, it's all on the stewardship scheme. We have herd numbers, and we've got livestock on site. We've done a lot of fencing. We've started to improve the dry stone walls around here. And as a family, what we want to do is farm this land. So now, with all the issues with the enforcement notice, what we're trying to do, we've kind of fast forwarded this. So in April this year, what we've done is looked at what kind of agricultural building we're going to need for this site, because it will mitigate some of the issues with the enforcement notice. And even though we don't consider the enforcement notice really enforceable, we thought, well, let's kind of appease the council and say, this is what we want to do with the site around this area. So we have put in for an agricultural building, and this is where it's going to be sited within this location, which is on top of the plateau above the concrete road that we saw earlier. And basically, it's going within this corner, and the building itself will be kind of sat down in the landscape, so it won't be up on a high elevation. It's going to be sat down within the landscape, and we've kind of gone all in with this application, because we knew what the council was like. We knew that they were being so hard work with all those applications. So we have got it all designed by agricultural consultants, internally and externally. We've kept it in keeping. We've got a small stone plinth to go around it. It's got timber Yorkshire boarding on it, standard Big 6 cement profile roof on there. And we've also done with that an agricultural justification statement to say that yes, we are an agricultural business, we have got livestock, and we are good stewards of the landscape. With that as well, we've also done a landscape assessment, which has also gone in with the application, which basically mitigates, what effect this will have on the landscape. So there's some tree planting, some shrub planting around the building to disguise it even more into the landscape. And with this, we've put this application in now, but amazingly, the council have now informed us that they're not going to determine this application, they're not even going to accept it. We have gone through the validation process, so it has been validated, but when the planning officers looked at it, we've just received an email this week to say that the council are thinking of not determinating this plan application because they're using section 70C of the Town and Country Planning Act, which basically gives the council the right not to determine a plan application if there's already an enforcement notice been served on the site. Now, the enforcement notice which we've got and the council has served, this kind of is us trying to, say to the council, this is what we're wanting to do with the site, and one, we're quite within his right, we're doing it because it is an actual farming business, and also that we've done all the landscaping and it's not going to be out of sort within the landscape. And now they basically are just saying they're not going to terminate it. And the crazy thing that we've had with this application is we had solar panels on both sides of this building, and what we want to do is make this building off grid, so that we'll put battery storage units in it, and all the electricity will be generated on site. And for the agricultural unit, it wouldn't draw anything from the grid, and it'd be totally self-sufficient. And the crazy thing was that because the councillors keep mentioning landscape effect, the landscape architect said to us that they would have to mitigate glare from the solar panels on this building, and they advised us that the best thing we could do if the council is so stringent on effective landscape is we'd have to take all the solar panels off and not put any on. So now, and there's no initiative to put solar panels on, this was something that we wanted to do. Now we've taken all these solar panels off, and we will have to potentially wire up to the grid for electric. And this is how crazy the planning system is in this country, that we've got this big push and big initiative on sustainability, and then with no incentive we think, right, yeah, let's do it, and then the council, and even with the last planning application, the council come back to us with emails saying that we had too many solar panels on the house, and we'd integrated them into the roof. And I just couldn't believe it. I was shocked, that we've got government pushing that we would need sustainability and renewables, and then we've got the planning department saying that no, it's a bad idea, too much of an effect on the landscape. And this is what we're struggling with all the way through. And there's this massive difference between what the government's saying and what the planning authority is saying. But yeah, the big problem now is they're saying that they're not even going to determine this plan application, which I think is ludicrous, because to say that they're not even going to entertain it is ultimately it's going to delay this now until the planning enforcement appeal has gone through, and we've asked for a hearing this time, so we're looking at 12 months. That's probably going to be after Christmas 2023, so it'll be in 2024 by the time that's gone through. But we have got welfare issues now, because like I was saying, we have got livestock on the farm, and these are breeding livestock. So we are going to need somewhere to to birth the lambs and the calves come next spring. So we're going to try and go down the animal welfare way to get the council to terminate it. But the planning consultants also advised that we can also take court action against the planning authority to make them terminate it, which obviously we don't want to do, but it's something that we might have to do. So we'll see how we get on. Now we've had a look round and probably had a laugh at some of the items that was on the enforcement notice. You can kind of see why we put the appeal in, because everything on there is really, really petty, and it's like the council is clutching at straws to basically stop any development here, or stop us doing any work. And you can see this is why the appeal went in. And I'd advise everyone, when you get the enforcement notice, they do look quite scary, but there's a lot of good planning consultants out there who deal with enforcement notices quite often, and I would advise engaging with a good planning consultant who has a lot of experience with enforcement notice work. It's helped us no end having the right consultants on board with this. And what I kind of want to say as well is that the council have always mentioned about landscape effect, that, you know, how we're kind of destroying the landscape around this area. But we had planning permission when we got the house planning permission, because we had barn owls in there. We had an application going for a wildlife tower. Now, the ecologist said to us, Phil, why don't you just put a couple of barn owl boxes up, and about 200 quid a piece, stick them up in the nearest wood, which was up in the plantation that we seen earlier. That's it, that's all you need to do, that's mitigation, and you're right with that. You might have to put some bat boxes up as well. And through looking on the internet, I'd seen that some people had put on the barn owl website, they'd put this wildlife tower up, and I saw it on the internet. I thought, wow, that's smart, is that? I fancy building one of them. So we put a planning application in, and after about 3 million weeks of Burnley Council looking at it, we did manage to get planning permission for it, and we've actually built it now. And we went all out on it. Like I say, all the stone has been tumbled in that stone tumbler that you've seen earlier, and you know, we used reclaimed slates on it, and we've put some fancy lead work in it. And you know, it's kind of the bee's knees really. We've put a nice fence around it, and you know, and this is what we're wanting to do around the area. All these big house developers around here, you know, they'll build on 30 acre of land, and they might have to plant 100 metre of hedges. So what we're going to do now, we've appealed the second enforcement notice we've got, and the first one we had written statements for, which is basically we write our response, the council writes their response, and you switch them over. You then comment on each other's written responses, and then the Planning Inspectorate person comes up, has a look around and decides. And like I said earlier, this one, the first one got nullified because the council had messed it up basically, and then they've done the second one now, so we've appealed it on exactly the same grounds. All they did was change the wording over so that, you know, they could get it through. But this time we've actually asked for a hearing, and this is because the council seem to be kind of what our class is desktop warriors. You know, they sit behind the desk, they write a report, but we feel now that it would be better to get the planning officers in front of the Planning Inspectorate and let them explain, you know, why they're putting enforcement notice in for cabins on site, recycling waste, and, you know, a temporary structure that we've got for reworking stone. And, you know, they've then got to answer to the Planning Inspectorate in actual hearing. So also what we've done is we've got an appeal for the enforcement notice, and now what we've done is we've linked the house appeal, because obviously the house got turned down for the rebuild, so we've linked that in with the enforcement notice as well. So we're hoping that both of them will be determined on the same hearing. Now we've put in for the agricultural application. The council are saying they're not going to terminate it, but we were also planning on linking that in with this appeal as well, if the council you know, weren't going to pass that, which I highly doubt that even if they were going to terminate it, they wouldn't have passed it anyway. So yeah, we are now just waiting for a date for the hearing for the enforcement notice and the house application. We don't know quite yet what we're going to do about them not determinating the agricultural application, but we'll probably do another video and we'll let you know how that gets on. So the problem is with the council is nobody, the answer to nobody at the planning department, which you think they would, but basically the head of the department, he's kind of siding on with the officers. We've gone all the way up to the chief exec. He's leaving soon at Burnley Council, so he's not really bothered about it. But who are these planning officers? I mean, if it was building control, you can go and find another building inspector. If you have any bad experience with a lot of people, you just go and find somebody else who is much more workable. But with the planning department, there is nobody, and so we've tried to elevate this. The chief exec, we're having difficulty trying to get anything out of him, and the only other way is going to government, which, you know, I have no hope of getting anywhere with government. So, and basically, if you complain to the chief exec, you are basically saying that one of his departments that he's managing isn't doing the job properly, which means he's not doing his job properly. So you're in a no-win situation, because no chief exec or head of the department is going to hold their hands up and say, yeah, definitely I'm not doing my job properly, these officers are doing a crap job. So this is the really frustrating thing, is we know that they're being vindictive and really hard work with us, but who do we go to? And the answer is we're really nobody. We're really struggling to find, you know, which government department, or I'm really not hopeful with Burnley Council. They basically don't even want to speak to us. We've recently been in touch with the local councillors, which are green councillors. One of them has been up and had a look round, and he's very supportive. He, you know, he says, well, yeah, I can see what you're doing. We're part way through the wildlife tower. He had a look at that. And so luckily, two of the green councillors managed to set up a meeting with the head of department and the head of planning. And we had a pretty positive meeting out of it. You know, they kind of said that, you know, we want to come to a good working relationship, and, you know, but the enforcement orders will still be going forward, and, you know, there's not a lot that we can do to stop that. But on the plus side, you know, they said that, you know, we wanted to find a positive way forward, and this was done by the, like I say, set up by the green councillors. Now, Conservative councillor wise, where we are absolutely atrocious. We've had nothing but issues with Conservative councillors there, you know, really supportive of the council, saying that, yeah, we've done all this illegal work, and, you know, they don't even want to listen to us or talk to us. So yeah, don't vote Conservative. That's my motto. We've had nothing but trouble from them. So yeah, hopefully we can get this moving forward, and we'll do another video when we find out a little bit more. But hopefully this is kind of, you know, let you see what we're dealing with here, and you might be dealing with some issues similar. But yeah, if you want to get in touch and you want to know which planning consultants you're using and the barristers and things like that, let us know, and we'll share them details with you. And as well, if you've got any complaints and you think that we might be able to, you know, direct you in the right way, just get in touch and drop us an email, and we'll hopefully be able to help each other out.